Hey guys, today I want to try mixing things up a bit with this channel. When it comes to the World of Warcraft, I love watching top 10s. I could literally binge watch them for hours, so I figured it would make sense if I try to make one myself, yeah? So today's going to be my attempt at reaching a new audience, and making a video for the list of the top 10 creepy and unnerving locations in World of Warcraft. The universe of Warcraft bears many little secrets, and some of which can be downright disturbing at times. So let's get to it. The house by Crystal Lake, or also known as the home to the Gulch children, makes its way to number 10. Now, don't get me wrong, the Gulch children are definitely creepy as hell, but in a game where we have old gods, demons, and role players on Moonguard, satanic children aren't really too much of a stretch. But the thing that really closes the case of eeriness for me is the room that the Goldshire kids end up in at the end of their cycle. It looks just like a normal room, but whether the kids are in the room or not, it remains unsettling. And even when the kids are long gone, the music just stays the same, ominous. Even after all these years, this room is full of mystery and will probably be embedded in the mind of many WoW players for years to come. I think the most creepy aspect of this room is just the mystery that surrounds it. Why do the kids stop in here? Why do we occasionally hear the voice of an old god? Why is the music different and specific to this room? There's so many questions I can ask about this one area, and I love it. And honestly, I would be happy if we never receive an answer as to the true purpose of this room. But who knows, maybe one day we might actually just figure out some answers. So, you're on your way, flying to Grande, when you notice a little settlement. You decide to fly down, check it out, and at first everything seems relatively normal. You see some kids running around, a little spitting playing thing for some toddlers, and you even see an orc playing in a sandbox with a bomb and a giant skeleton. Alright, so this is where things get a little bit odd. Upon further investigation, you'll notice a cauldron, a doghouse with some rotten meat inside, and many other questionable objects throughout the property, including some ritualistic trinkets near a pile of skulls. I figured that would be worth noting. And then you start to think to yourself, this lady's focus obviously isn't on the children's safety, hence the bomb. And maybe if you look a little deeper, you can connect the dots to this troll lady being a cannibal whose preference is food of defenseless children. But then again, I digress, she's a troll. Not to sound racist or anything, but trolls are into some pretty weird shit, aren't they? And, well, yeah, even if that is true, here's the thing. We're gonna fast forward 9 years. Or rewind 35 years, depending on how you look at it. Now, if you go to roughly the same spot in Draenor, you will notice the settlement is actually gone. However, hidden snugly in a hillside, there's a small cave. And in that cave, you'll find Chal. Only this time she's not a troll anymore, this time she's an orc. And in this questline, you will learn that Chal, who actually acquires a relatively nice orphanage in the future, is actually some kind of shapeshifter who essentially feeds off younger victims by draining their life. Now, she does this, of course, with a purpose. She does this so she can keep herself looking young, which is why she surrounds herself with young ones, preferably children. And this is also why in a few in-game years, we will see the construction of Chal's Home for Little Tykes. Which, from the looks of it, Chal's Home for Little Tykes is actually a farm, where Chal can endlessly feed on younger victims to keep herself looking as young for as long as Chal pleases. When it comes to the mysteries of Azeroth, there's no place more mysterious than the Great Sea. And with the release of Cataclysm, we were finally given a look of what lurks beneath the surface. Now, the ocean is already quite unsettling for those who have a fear of the open waters, like myself. But leveling in the zone of Vajir can be quite nerve-wracking at times. And even those who have no fear of aquatic environments can still have their anxiety triggered by what lies beneath the surface of Vajir. When you first quest your way into Vajir, you are greeted with a fairly generic ocean view, with fish, sharks, and the occasional orca, As you quest through the zone, you delve deeper and deeper into Vizier's seafloor. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the whale sharks are more terrifying to me than the fell reavers in Outlands, but that's basically because I suffer from thalassophobia, so anything in the deep waters kind of creep me out. But what really gets me is the overall feel and aesthetic of Vizier. I mean, once you wander deep down enough, everything begins to get weird as you stumble across faceless ones, Gilblins being taken yet still struggling to stay alive, and just the irrational feeling that you're constantly being watched by something. I don't know what triggers the paranoia, but I do find that it's something quite unsettling when you look into the vastness of the Great Sea and you just know that Azeroth is somewhere out there, and Vizier potentially being home of the imprisoned old god makes this zone one of the more unsettling. Now everything kind of comes together when you travel to the southern borders of Vizier. You'll come to a big drop-off point, and if you learned anything from Finding Nemo, drop-offs are never good. Upon gazing out into the dark expanse, you'll notice a cluster of large skeletal remains. If you're brave enough to swim towards the remains, you'll soon see a glowing orb behind what looks like one of two skulls. With no idea of what the orb is, or what even the skeletal remains belong to, it's pretty clear and pretty obvious that this is an unfinished location, and it raises even more questions. And whether we're gonna get an answer to them or not is still pretty unknown, but who knows? With Queen Ashara becoming a more prominent figure in the Legion storyline, we might perhaps receive our answer sooner than we think. Pandaria. Personally, home of my favorite expansions, so obviously I would want to try and shoehorn it in some way. But it wasn't easy, as Pandaria, despite being the location where an old god fell, it's quite difficult to find a location which seemed deemable as creepy. Deep in the Jade Mist Forests, where the trees get dark, you'll stumble upon a home of a female Pandaran who holds a dark secret. Looking behind her home, you'll see jade statues, which she takes pride in as she creates them to keep her husband company. Sounds sweet enough, until you look around and you see terrified Pandaran children clinging onto trees for dear life, begging you to save them from the monsters. There is a questline here, and if you do it, you'll learn that she actually creates these jade statues out of innocent lives, using both living adults and children to add to her collection. So you must handle her as you handle any other threat to Azeroth and put her down. It's a real shame though, I actually really liked her. Throughout Azeroth, we know the definitive prison locations for two of the old gods. That is Yogg-Saron in Northrend and Cthulhu in the southern region of Kalimdor. Not to mention Enzoth, who's somewhere in the ocean, but we're not too sure about that just yet. Yogg-Saron is one old god who has a large amount of mental influence on main characters throughout the Warcraft timeline. But if Yogg-Saron can influence the minds of characters such as Loken, and through speculation the Lich King himself, then doing so to those who are not as powerful should be no problem, right? Well then, welcome to Whisper Gulch. Upon arrival, you'll stumble upon deranged explorers. A group of dwarves from the Explorers League who have gone mad from the torment of the whispers of none other than Yogg-Saron himself. When the dwarves see you, they'll say things such as, "If you're here, then it might be close behind," or "It's coming, hide." Now it is unknown what they refer to when they say "it," but it is speculated to be a reference from the novel A Wrinkle in Time, where in the book they refer to a powerful enemy as simply it. But it does make you wonder, what is it? As Yogg-Saron never left his prison, it could be something under his influence which have the dwarves so shooken up. Or maybe it could be something much worse. Now if you want to go and explore Whisper Gulch, just be careful, because you'll probably hear Yogg-Saron's whispers yourself. Anyone who has at least started the Worgen campaign is going to be quite familiar with this zone, and it is where the Worgen's quest begins. However, if you're an Alliance player who's never played a Worgen, then there's a good chance that you've never stumbled upon the ruins of Gilneas. The reason why the abandoned city of Gilneas makes its way to the list is, well, because that's exactly what it is. A literal abandoned city. Now, as previously mentioned, yeah, Strethelm is a shell of its once glory, but it's also littered with undead, which still brings life into the ruins, no ironic pun intended. But when you look at Gilneas, it's the literal definition of abandoned. No NPCs, no monsters, and hell, even no players, aside from the occasional role players here and there. But the reason why Gilneas is making its way to the list is because it's a huge deserted location and its creepiness speaks for itself. If you played a Worgen, you would know the amount of desecration the city has seen, and to see the place where life just once thrived now left to ruin, you can't help but feel a sense of eeriness as you explore around it. And there is a lot to explore. Because how large this area is and how empty it is, you always feel the sense that there's someone always around the corner, and with the role players around, you might just be right. Now, aside from the cobwebs and the blinking pictures and the eerie bats flying around, if you look around long enough, you can stumble upon a window, and inside that window you'll see an odd silhouette peering through. Which kinda makes you wonder, what kind of person would want to stay in such a town? Or maybe it's not even a person at all. Now, at first glance, this place doesn't seem all that bad. It's actually a relatively lush forest with some deers, rabbits, and if you're lucky enough, you'll probably stumble upon a bear. Now, the thing that makes this place so creepy is that these woodland critters are actually all infected. Infected by an unknown force down below. Well, at least it was an unknown force until the release of Legion. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the lore for the sake of time, but down below was a servant of none other than Yogg-Saron. This servant was so powerful, mind you, that he was killed 4 times over the course of a century. He slumbers under the soils of the Whispering Forest and infects the land from down below. But it does make you wonder, if a being this powerful could stay hidden for so long, what other creatures could be lurking below Azeroth? And what's going to happen when they're unearthed? Now, that's not the only thing that's mysterious in this forest. Directly above lies a circle of glowing fungus with a magical mist which emits from the ring's center. Now, there are many theories about what the significance of this ring is, as it doesn't seem to be a direct reference to anything. If you stick around the ring of mushrooms long enough, you'll witness a group of fairy dragons who will assemble around the ring and begin to sing a song. The mushrooms seem to react to this song as they emit a beam of light which blows leaves up towards the sky. You could even see the woodland creatures coming together to witness the event. Many believe that the mushroom circle is strongly linked to the Emerald Dream, while others believe this is the fairy dragon's way to fight off the corruption from beneath. But still, even with the corruptor completely defeated down below, the creatures are still infected and the fairy dragons still meet up at the mushroom circle to perform their rituals. So perhaps there's an even larger threat which is still affecting the forests. I guess only time will tell. This one's going to be a short one due to the lack of official information which is given to us, but it's still extremely interesting nonetheless. Madan is the new home to dwarves and gnomes who both live in Kalimdor, and is home to the second largest archaeology dig site in Kalimdor. In this location, a little less than 1,000 dwarves work year-round to uncover a massive set of Titan ruins. Something that makes this location so interesting is that even today, they're still working on uncovering the ruins. And it's been stated by Blizzard that they have epic plans for the Southern Barrens, but more specifically, Madan. Which brings us to this NPC, who was an addition to the game during the release of Cataclysm. When spoken to, he tells you to turn away. Before the Cataclysm hit, we found something. We dug something up that should have stayed buried. Pray to whatever you believe in that the landslide was enough to keep it down. As of yet, we are still unsure to what's down there, but there is one thing for sure. Whatever it is still down there. And something tells me we're going to find out real soon what it actually is. And I think it's going to be bad. To be honest, this one almost didn't make the list. I wanted to keep this list comprised of locations that you could visit without exploiting the game. Luckily, in patch 7.3, Blizzard has once again opened the location of the Karazhan Crypts for all of our exploring pleasures. Now don't go running off there just yet. In order to unlock the Karazhan Crypts, you must first follow the Lucid Nightmare questline, which begins on the second floor of Curiosities and More in Dalaran. Not only do you get the ability to go into the Karazhan Crypts whenever you want without exploiting, but you also unlock a pretty cool looking mount too. It's a win-win in my book. So I'm pretty sure the majority of the people watching this video are quite familiar with this location, but I figured it wouldn't be a proper top 10 without it. However, if you never heard of the Karazhan Crypts, then you're in for a real treat. Everything about this place just rings creepy. Even the exterior of the place, which now bears demons and ghouls, it has enough creepy charms to give you the chills. Upon entry, you'll first notice a demonic shrine, which has fellfire candles surrounding it. This is constructed right in front of the hole, which used to lead straight to the bottom, but this is now covered by some kind of strange blood-stained relic. Not too sure what the purpose of this new addition is, but it definitely adds to the eeriness nonetheless. As you make your way down the hallway, this place does a really great job speaking for itself. Skeletons and mummified corpses litter your surroundings as you make your way to the bottom. At the bottom lies a massive pile of bones. I can only assume that this is where the bodies of sacrificed victims would be thrown after a ritual from the shrine above. If this is the case, it gotta make you wonder, who were they sacrificed to, as this is quite the impressive pile. There are also plenty of rooms which serve no purpose, but yet make you feel like something massive's about to spawn. I don't know about you guys, but I get a sense that I'm about to come face to face with something when I'm exploring these crypts. Now when it comes to the creepiness of World of Warcraft, you can't forget about the Upside Down Sinners. This room is by far the creepiest location in World of Warcraft today, and I have yet to see anything come close to topping it. And as if hanging corpses weren't creepy enough, the Upside Down Sinners are submerged in water. As their bodies float vertically, they float towards the surface, and they're held down due to their necks being bound by rope. I'll be honest, it's pretty cool to see the Karazhan Crypts open once again. I can't wait to see if anything comes from this location in the future, but I would honestly love to see Blizzard do something like Hollow Zen themed questlines, as this would be a perfect place to fight bosses and mobs in the World Quest fashion. I've been playing World of Warcraft for almost 10 years now, and I don't think I've ever enjoyed questing through any other game more. Every location in WoW is truly memorable, and I think I have a story for every zone I've leveled in. Each zone had an impact on me, but there's one zone in particular that caught me off guard. I didn't enjoy questing here, but that wasn't because the quests weren't fun. It was because my time leveling in this zone, I just had this feeling of grief, anxiety. I know it sounds like I'm playing it up a bit, but this zone I'm about to discuss with all of you was a legitimate mental struggle for me, and even today, it still gives me this weird feeling. This zone is called the Thousand Needles. Alright, look, I know this zone isn't exactly quote-unquote scary, and I'm sure many of you have quested through this zone without any problem. But for me personally, this zone is probably one of the most anxiety-provoking zones in this game. For starters, I do have a fear of the ocean, so when I went down for the first time and discovered a dead whale shark, I was mortified as I didn't think World of Warcraft was capable of having creatures that large. You know that feeling you get when something is chasing you and you just feel this sense of panic? That's the feeling I had when I was playing through this zone. But the whale shark wasn't the only thing about this zone that triggered me. There's dead aquatic animals everywhere you look. When you go underwater far enough, you could see that the corruption from Cthulhu has made its way all the way to Thousand Needles, as Karaji infest the sea floor. There are mutated creatures below the surface, and the music alludes that there's something terribly wrong with this place as well. And not to mention the ice cream quest, that damn ice cream quest. There are so many things wrong about that quest, I honestly don't even know where to begin. There's this gnome who has a 4-quest chain, and a final quest, all his friends have died and drowned when the cataclysm hit. And he seems just fine with that. Not only is he smiling the whole time, but his dialogue is just happy as well. He wants you to go down below and retrieve his friends for him. So you go down and tie rope around his fallen friends as he pulls them back up the shore. You do all this as this ominous music is playing in the background. Now, I know this zone isn't exactly scary, but it's one of those zones that just look okay from the outside, but as you go around and explore, you can see that this zone is really messed up. And when everything is all added up, you feel that there's something terribly wrong about this place, and it has almost like a post-apocalyptic feel to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, I do appreciate it. This is my first time doing a top 10, so please let me know how I did in the comments below. If you guys think I missed a creepy location and you would like to add to it, please leave it in the comment below, I'd love to hear it. Being that we are now in the month of Halloween, I'm going to be uploading some periodic spooky videos that you guys should keep an eye out for. If you like this one, you're going to love the next one. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week. Have a good one.